Tonight, triple threat. 3 Canadian provinces on the front lines of raging flames. Thousands on the move as Manitoba calls in the military and declares a state of emergency.
This might be the final goodbye to all my possessions.
High likelihood none of this will be here.
The forecast and fresh warnings.
This is the largest evacuation Manitoba will have seen in most people's living memory.
A crucial new clue in the search for 2 children who vanished weeks ago.
There is your exclusive window of opportunity.
Breaking down Mark Carney's first sparring session.
The Prime Minister's claiming that somehow the Liberals have changed.
Canada's new government is acting immediately.
As key allies ramp up the pressure to bolster defense. Why workers rejected Canada Post's latest offer, plus a staggering new snapshot of just how much money the company lost last year. And serving up a new Canadian tennis sensation.
I've just been enjoying the moment.
Holding court at the French Open.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening. Massive flames are raging in at least 3 provinces in Western Canada tonight, including Manitoba, where there is a state of emergency, and reinforcements from the Canadian Armed Forces are now on the way to fly thousands of people to safety. The fire's ominous march is continuing to threaten homes and lives in the province. Already this year, burning more than 3 times more land than the annual average. And here's what it looks like from space. Plumes of smoke shooting up into the sky. Canada's current fires largely concentrated in the prairies, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, which is where CTV's Alex Karpa starts us off tonight.
Tonight, an urgent warning from Manitoba's Premier.
This is the largest evacuation Manitoba will have seen in most people's living memory.
Residents in the city of Flin Flon in northern Manitoba are now evacuating.
This is a moment of fear and uncertainty. This is a moment of concern.
Evacuation orders are also in place for Pimicikamak Cree Nation, Puckawagan Cree Nation, and the Northern Affairs community of Cross Lake. This significant step will involve the evacuation of over 17,000 people.
The majority of these folks will be coming to Winnipeg.
Canoe confirming Prime Minister Mark Carney has given the green light for the Canadian Armed Forces to help out in the evacuations. Indigenous leaders say they are communicating with the province as they try to get all the residents out.
But I'm confident that we will be able to do this. I'm confident that we'll be able to do this successfully because I know that we have so many people working with us, and the people on the ground are amazing.
More than 198,000 hectares have burned in the province to date. There are currently 22 active wildfires and 102 total wildfires in 2025, which is well above average. Manitoba does have the highest fire activity in Canada so far this year. This is video from Cheryl Matheson, who was forced to evacuate her community of Sheridan, approximately 65 kilometers northeast of Flin Flon. She says the town of 85 people could potentially face a total loss.
It's devastating. Most of the people here are worried. You know, they're used to living up north. They're not used to being in a city, so there's some challenges of that. And just the unknown of what's going to happen.
The state of emergency in Manitoba will be in place for 30 days, but the province says it may be extended if necessary. Alex Karpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
I'm Allison Bamford in Candle Lake, Saskatchewan, where the largest wildfire in the province burns less than 20 kilometers away. Today, the resort village, a 2-hour drive north of Saskatoon, issued a voluntary evacuation notice.
This would be a much easier process to do now than to have to do it within a limited period of time.
2 of the province's largest wildfires merged into one, and that's what's threatening the area right now.
This is a beast. This is a Category 6 fire. That's as bad as it gets.
And some are preparing for the worst, hauling out boats and valuables while they still can.
Sometime in the next few days to a few weeks, High likelihood none of this will be here.
But this is the intake hose.
Doors down, they're doing everything they can to make sure there's a cabin to come back to.
This cabin has been in the family since 1969.
Kelvin Kelly is installing a rooftop sprinkler similar to ones already on the marina.
I'm not sure if it's going to work, but it's better than nothing, I guess.
Further north, thousands have already fled their homes this week, now set up with temporary accommodations in Prince Albert, Regina, and Saskatoon.
The kids didn't want to come, but we had no choice but to come out here.
The Public Safety Agency says provincial resources are stretched, and with 17 active wildfires burning across the province, allocating those resources is like an emergency department. The critical areas get the help first. Alison Bamford, CTV News, Candle Lake, Saskatchewan.
I'm Kathy Lee in Calgary, tracking the Lake Edith wildfire.
Burning out of control 8 kilometers north of Swan Hills in central Alberta. The Lake Edith wildfire, forcing the town of 1,300 to evacuate, remains a threat.
I looked at the town, I looked at my garage, I looked at all my possessions, and I said goodbye and thought to myself, this might be it.
Neighboring town of Whitecourt, now a temporary refuge for evacuees.
I've never seen this much generosity and this much support from a community as I have.
On the front lines, crews continue to battle the inferno, burning more than 36 square kilometers.
The big thing that's happened in the last 24 hours is that the fire has crossed Highway 33. So we're dealing with that, working to contain the fire on the other side of the highway now.
Widespread heat warnings for most of Alberta.
We're seeing this period of relatively prolonged heat, as well as thunderstorm risk,
creating a challenging situation for firefighters on the ground.
We reposition our tankers to, places where they're going to be most useful to us in these conditions.
There are 43 active wildfires burning across Alberta. A mandatory evacuation order for the community of Chipewyan Lake recently issued. Back at Swan Hills, efforts are also being made to protect the town.
Systems are being set up to help with structure protection.
For those displaced, all they can do is wait.
I'm basically trying to stay positive
and hope for the best. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
That sense of hope is clashing with the new reality check tonight. Record-breaking heat is projected to continue for the next 5 years. In that time frame, the World Meteorological Organization projects an 80% chance the world will break another annual temperature record, leading to melting glaciers, harsher heat waves, and extreme rainfall. A new development tonight in the month-long search for 2 missing children who disappeared in rural Nova Scotia. Here's CTV's Paul Hollingsworth.
6-year-old Lily and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan disappeared almost 4 weeks ago. Family members say the children wandered from their home in Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia. The RCMP has uncovered new video evidence that Lily and Jack were seen the day before their disappearance.
We have confirmed that Lily and Jack were observed in public with family members on the afternoon of May 1st. Investigators are now asking anyone who has dash cam footage or video along Garlick Road between noon on April 28th and noon on May 2nd to contact Northeast Nova RCMP Major Crime Unit.
Former homicide investigator Steve Ryan says this evidence is a crucial breakthrough.
The time that they were last seen alive on May the 1st and the time that the parents reported them missing on May the 2nd, there is your exclusive window of opportunity. So that time in between becomes crucial. And they want to go back to April 28th and 29th because perhaps they want to see who was with the children at that time as well.
Search and rescue efforts are not active at this time. According to the RCMP, future searches could happen based on new evidence that is discovered during this investigation.
That's concerning if you're somebody who got their fingers crossed hoping that these children are going to be found alive. So if they go look in that same area again, it'll be more of a recovery mission as opposed to a rescue mission.
Investigators have received more than 355 tips surrounding the disappearance and have interviewed more than 50 people as the search for Lily and Jack Sullivan continues. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Halifax.
2 men were sentenced today for their roles in a human smuggling operation that saw a family freeze to death near the Manitoba-Minnesota border. Harsh Kumar Patel was sentenced to 10 years and Steve Shand got 6.5. The court in Minnesota heard how a couple from India and their 2 children were sent walking across the border from Canada to the U.S. in an overnight blizzard. Their bodies were found just meters from the border. Patel was found guilty of organizing the smuggling trips, while Shand picked up migrants on the U.S. side of the border. Canada Border Services Agency says a drug sweep earlier this year called Operation Blizzard has netted a large amount of illegal narcotics, nearly 2 kilograms of fentanyl and about 60 kilograms of other narcotics were intercepted in postal, air, and marine containers. Border officials say about 67% of the seizures were drugs from the United States coming into Canada, while about 17% were narcotics going in the opposite direction. And a U.S. federal court has ruled that U.S. President Donald Trump does not have the authority to impose so-called Liberation Day tariffs on countries around the globe, including fentanyl-based duties against Canada. The White House has appealed. Prime Minister Mark Carney faced his first question period, touting Canada's new government and its plans for the economy. CTV's Mike LeCouture on the clashes in the Commons with the opposition.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister. In his first question period, it only took a few moments for the Prime Minister to get his first heckle.
Could you also indulge me to...
Carney took it in stride, answering 9 questions from the opposition benches, a departure from the last 9 years when Prime Minister Justin Trudeau took all questions on Wednesdays. But it didn't detract from the debate.
Mr. Speaker, with the throne speech yesterday, Liberals have effectively admitted that it was their policies that caused the suffering for Canadians.
Canada's new government, Mr. Speaker, is acting immediately to grow this economy, 1 Canadian economy out of 13, nation-building projects, 1 project office, working with the provinces to cooperate. We expect the support from the members opposite. Hear, hear.
Conservatives will support the Liberal middle-class tax cut in an early sign of cross-partisan collaboration.
We will vote for every tax cut, always and everywhere. We love taxpayers, and we want taxpayers to be better off.
After losing his seat in the election, Pierre Poilievre is shut out from the daily debates of question period, even though he remains party leader.
I'd love to be in there. It's a great place. I love the House of Commons. I love the excitement and the thrill, and I've never really been a spectator.
Poilievre is expected to run in a by-election after one of his MPs steps aside. But until then, the Conservative leader will have to watch question period from the public gallery or from outside the chamber. Omar?
All right, Mike, thank you. And Canada is facing pressure from the U.S. and its European allies to spend more on defense that could force the Carney government to make some tough choices. Here's CTV's Judy Trin.
Shut down Kansas! Shut down Kansas! An anti-war demonstration outside a military trade show. Inside, Defense Minister David McGuinty promised to spend billions of new dollars to protect national security.
We're moving quickly to ensure our military has the tools to defend our country and continent while remaining an engaged, reliable partner abroad. Canada wants to join the Rearm Europe program by July 1st. It will provide new markets for homegrown companies to sell military equipment overseas.
We need to be prepared for potential future threats, and Rearm Europe is one of those ways of diversifying portfolios.
But President Donald Trump wants Canada to spend its money on a North American missile defense system. Trump says the Golden Dome will cost Canada $61 billion or zero if it becomes his cherished 51st state.
We're not going to bribe Canadians into becoming a 51st state.
He's like a little kid who just likes to see how much trouble he can cause for his family.
Are you considering Trump's offer? A question ignored by the Prime Minister, but talks about the Golden Dome are underway.
We're looking at options across the board.
Trump's former Secretary of State is uncertain what role the Golden Dome will play in a trade war.
I don't know if it provides leverage or for whom that leverage might be, but it is absolutely imperative that we do this together.
In the past, Canada's low defense spending has resulted in it being labeled a laggard by allies. The defense minister says that Canada will reach its NATO 2% target by 2030. At a time when the military alliance is considering increasing the target to 5%. Omar.
All right, Judy, thank you. Things are not looking good for Canada Post as the latest round of negotiations has taken a negative turn. And to make matters worse, the company reported some major operating losses today. CTV's Geneviève Beauchemin brings us the latest.
Mail is still moving, but a stalemate in labor negotiations has delivered new uncertainty. Postal workers issued a flat-out rejection of Canada Post's new proposal, one it had called its final offer. The Canadian Union of Postal Workers said in a statement that Canada Post was playing hardball and that the corporation outright ignored our positions on big issues like the amount of a wage hike. Canada Post reported operating losses of $1.3 billion in 2024. It blames part of that on the 32-day strike leading to the holidays. It said in a statement that uncertainty has driven down business, that delivered parcel volumes are now down 65%. The corporation insists it can't afford to stick to its delivery model, saying some issues are non-negotiable, like hiring part-time workers for more flexibility, especially to add weekend deliveries.
And we have deck boxes for transport.
Canada Post users fear what could be lost in the mail. David Kwan owns a trading cards and board games shop called Card Brawlers in Montreal. 70% of his business is online, and so a lot of parcels go out here. He's still dealing with the fallout of the strike leading up to the holidays.
We ended up with 2 months worth of packages sitting and waiting, and whatever was already shipped out prior to the strike was just lost in the system.
He has used other carriers, but says under normal conditions he prefers Canada Post.
Switching to UPS or Purolator, where we're not usually using, the rates are nearly double or even triple sometimes for shipping, especially to more remote areas that don't have the same coverage.
Now he's watching to see what the next step may be. The union has been in a strike position since Friday, but so far has restricted job action to an overtime ban, saying it wanted to limit disruptions to the public. Some customers say they may turn away for good, saying they simply can't stick to a system that doesn't deliver when they need it. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Montreal.
Coming up, chaos in Gaza. How a desperate scramble for aid turned deadly. As Israel marks 600 days since the October 7th attacks, its prime minister says Hamas's top leader has been eliminated. In Gaza, the Hamas-run health ministry says Israeli soldiers opened fire on crowds rushing into a new aid distribution site, killing one person and injuring dozens of others. Israel says it only fired warning shots. Here's CTV's Abigail Beeman.
Thousands of Palestinians desperate for food descend on this new aid site in Rafah. This man says he has a family of 10, but could only get 1 can of peas. The despair led to a deadly break-in at a different site. Hundreds stormed this UN food warehouse, pulling off pieces of the building, trying to get inside. The UN accuses Israel of weaponizing aid. Israel says it's the UN that failed to pick up 400 aid trucks ready to go in Gaza.
The UN must stop spreading panic and start moving aid. Put your ego aside, pick up the aid, and do your job.
Meanwhile, the Israeli Prime Minister said Mohammed Sinwar, Hamas's de facto leader in Gaza and brother of the former leader and October 7th mastermind, has been killed.
But I saw so many kids with burn wounds. Very painful.
Here in Ottawa, Canadian doctors who worked in Gaza shared their experiences as they offer a prescription to the Prime Minister, calling on Canada to help deliver aid and enforce a ceasefire.
We have been there, not once, multiple times. Not for a photo op or headlines, but to save lives. But as doctors, we can't end this genocide.
I'm proud to announce that I have reintroduced my motion to recognize the state of Palestine.
A private member's motion, but the new Foreign Affairs Minister twice dodged reporter questions about the government's position.
Is there an and on the motion from the NDP?
It has been more than a week since Canada released a joint statement with the UK and France calling on the Israeli government to end the renewed military offensive and allow humanitarian aid into Gaza, threatening, quote, concrete actions if they do not. Omar?
All right, Abigail, thank you. Still ahead, the frightening moments for young concert goer that are sparking new calls for safety. Scary moments for a concert goer in Toronto after she was hit by fireworks. Brianna Flynn was singing along with Jelly Roll near the stage when she says she was hit by fireworks from above. She was treated on site and hopes tour organizers make changes to keep fans safe. Still ahead, Canada's newest court queen, the teenage tennis star who is turning heads. It's been a swift climb up the women's professional tennis ranks for Victoria Mboko. The American-born Toronto-raised teenager is having a breakout tournament at the French Open. CTV's Adrian Gabriel has been tracking her conquest of the clay courts.
A commanding forehand has catapulted a Canadian onto the global tennis stage.
It's been my first Grand Slam ever, so there's a lot of emotions going on.
Just a teenager, 18-year-old Victoria Mboko is turning heads at the French Open.
Everybody expects her to be a top 10 player and a superstar on the rise.
On Sunday, the teen won her first ever Grand Slam match. Today, she knocked out the world's 59th ranked Eva Lees, punching her ticket to the third round. Mboko was ranked 350th this time last year. She's now one of only 3 teenagers currently inside the world's top 100.
Of course, there's so much happening, even behind the scenes, but I feel like my family has been doing a good job of keeping me really isolated from it all.
Family is central to Mboko's story. Her parents fled violence and conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo. She was born in 2006 in Charlotte, North Carolina. That year, the Mboko family moved to Canada. This tennis academy she grew up playing at in Burlington, Ontario, now features her photo on their website, taking inspiration from a former Canadian champion.
I looked up a little bit to Bianca Andreescu when she won the U.S. Open in 2019. It was such an inspiring experience for everyone in Canada.
All eyes now shift to her next match this Friday.
She plays Zhang now, the Olympic champion, top 10 player. Really, really tough competitors.
The tennis world will be watching to see if the hollowed clay courts of Roland Garros provide the sure-footed Canadian the foundation to climb into tennis lore. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, Toronto.
Definitely a star to watch. That's a snapshot of this Wednesday for all of us at CTV National News. Thank you for watching. Good night and see you tomorrow.